You're listening to the Personal Growth Podcast with
Perza
and Cole.
Hey guys, this is episode 2, and we've got 10 life skills as given to us by Jim Rohn. We listened to another YouTube video. Jim Rohn gives us 10 life skills that anyone can really use and develop in their life. And I've got Eric Cole with me right now.
Sup?
So we're gonna just kind of jump right into the first one.
Yes.
And Jim Rohn gives it to us as learning the power of purpose. So that being said, do you have any thoughts about that life skill just right off the top of your head?
Not necessarily. If you want to go ahead and take the lead on that, I'll back you up.
Okay, so it's kind of funny to think about the power of purpose, because as a younger child growing up in a religious home, I felt like I had some sort of purpose early on, and through like puberty and my teenage years and like a rebellious stage, if you will, I feel like I had lost a sense of purpose.
Okay. Like
late teens, early 20s, and then I just went on this like spiraling downward staircase of drugs and alcohol and like being pretty promiscuous, like having no direction, you know?
Right.
And like I think having your identity wrapped around a purpose is helpful, and it helps to create momentum in the direction that you want to go. But if you don't have a purpose and you don't have a direction that you want to go, it's like Jim Rohn, I think, has another quote where he talks about like if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And for me, it was I had no idea where I was going, and so any road I took was going to get me there for a long time. And I think somewhere along the lines I found a sense of purpose, and a lot of that, it came from listening to people like Jim Rohn and Alan Watts and Anthony Robbins. Something that Alan Watts talks about is I had a train of thought. It seems to evade me. What?
Well, that's all right. Speaking to having a sense of purpose, I feel like I have that now. I was 24 when I moved to Idaho in 2008, and I moved here essentially because I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself. And my grandparents lived here, so I wanted to be closer to them. And over the next couple of years, I got involved in improv, and then I started doing stand-up, and that gave me a purpose in terms of like what I wanted to do with my life. And then 5 years ago I had a son, and now I've got a whole new purpose in that I want to do everything I can to give him the best chance at a good life. And so those are the two things that have been driving me over the last few years, is my son and my comedy.
Right.
So that's where I found purpose.
Okay. That reminded me, the purpose that I have found from listening to people like Jim Rohn and Alan Watts. Alan Watts in particular talks about like giving away what you found to be helpful, and that's what people like Alan Watts and Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins, they do. They go around and they tell people about the things that have been helpful in their life.
Right.
And Alan Watts says like you better give it away because you can't keep it anyways.
Maybe that's what the Red Hot Chili Peppers were talking about.
Go with it. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Give it away, give it away, give it away now.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's probably what they were talking about.
Maybe.
I don't know.
It might also have been about sex, that song. I don't know for sure.
It very well could. What do you mean about sex? Tell me where your thought process is there.
Well, with the song "Give It Away Now" by the Red Hot Chili, I don't know. I mean, listen to the lyrics. What I got, you got to give it to your mama. Do a little dance and then you drink. I don't know. It just seems very fueled by Anthony Kiedis' junk.
Fair,
but you know, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you know a lot more about Red Hot Chili Peppers than I do.
Probably. I know I have a lot of useless information up in the old brain. A lot of things that are never going to be useful to me at all unless I'm on like a quiz show.
Or somehow incorporated into your comedy.
Yeah.
Which you do.
I do quite a bit. Yeah.
So it's not useless. You have found a use for your useless information.
I suppose that's true. Yeah. I didn't really think of that, but yeah. All right. Sure.
Fair. Anyways, yeah, we could probably talk about the power of purpose for quite a while, but I didn't write a whole lot down on that in particular thing. I do know that having that purpose of like finding the things that have been useful in my life and developing like momentum in the direction that I want to go and sharing that with other people has been like a major source of purpose for me.
Right.
And then that kind of brings it into the next life skill that he talks about, self-confidence.
Yes.
And I think having that power of purpose just by itself helps to create self-confidence. What do you think about self-confidence?
I think self-confidence for me sometimes is hard to come by, except when I'm on stage. Like when I'm up there and I'm telling jokes and everybody's laughing, then I'm the king of the world. I feel in complete control of what I'm doing when I'm on stage doing comedy. But in other aspects, I can probably stand to have a little more self-confidence. I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm not confident at all, but I suppose there are some places that it could be improved.
Do you think that you could take that air of confidence that you have on stage and like implement that into the other areas of your life?
Possibly. Except then I fall into the trap of thinking that, like, if I'm not funny, what am I contributing to the conversation or to whatever the situation I'm in entails? It becomes very wrapped up in like, well, if they're not laughing, I got nothing.
Right.
So, that's been something I've been working on the last couple of years.
Okay. So you find a lot of your confidence in your ability to be funny and have other people also think that. Yeah,
because I know that's one thing that I know I'm good at. So it's easy to project that when I'm on stage, or even if I'm in a conversation or whatever and I'm being funny.
Yeah.
And that's great.
Gotcha. But, okay. When Jim Rohns was talking about that self-confidence, he was talking about not neglecting the small daily disciplines and then developing the willingness to rise above your circumstances.
Yes.
To me, like, I think back over the last few years of having like some very small daily disciplines that have gotten me to a place where I was feeling very content with my lifestyle, with my body, mind, soul, and then like seeing this thing that I have actually neglected some of those daily disciplines that I've created for myself. And then imagine when you do that the results that you were getting whenever you had those small daily disciplines, they stop being a thing.
Yeah.
And, like, it's interesting to me that, like, when I stop and those results stop as a result of me stopping the daily disciplines, how I can still be surprised by that.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling that my mind could think that the results would still happen.
Right.
But every time I stop doing it, and I'm like, well, where's the results that I was getting before? Well, check out what the fuck you're doing with your life. You're not doing the shit that got you to where you were feeling the good stuff, you know? So, do a reality check, get back into your daily disciplines. And that's it. It's weird. In the recovery community, a lot of times people will say things like, sometimes the best motivation is pain. And for a person who doesn't realize their life is kind of backsliding into old behaviors, it's not as noticeable unless it's painful.
Okay.
And then you're like, oh shit, it's painful, now I gotta get back to the basics.
Yeah.
Like start doing the things that you were doing that got you to a better state of mind.
What's an example of, like, say, one daily discipline that you were doing that maybe you slacked off on?
One in particular is like taking an inventory. It's like going through the day and finding out things that created some sort of resentments in your life.
Okay.
Like, for instance, like at work, someone said something and I got angry and I reacted negatively towards whatever it is that they did. So at the end of the night, what I would do is say, hey, this stuff created some resentment, and then I have to acknowledge my part in that.
Okay.
Like, what did I do that got me to that place?
Right.
And if whenever you're looking at it on paper and you say, oh, I had a part to play in this, it's a lot easier to let go of the resentment and then move on with your life. And for me, what I've realized about resentment is it's not always about anger. Whenever you like break down the word resentment, it's and it's again, and then zentment, the resent. Zent is live, and so the whole idea is to relive a thought, a memory, or whatever constantly on playback in your head. And the problem with reliving these things over and over again is it keeps you out of the moment, and when you're out of the moment, you're not able to be present with whomever you are with at that time.
I mean, it's funny that you say that, because I had something like that happen to me today at work. My boss kind of scolded me a little bit today because I was kind of slacking off, and at first my initial reaction was, well, how could you be talking to me like that? Like, I'm a grown man and blah blah blah. But then I thought about it, and I went, no, she's my boss. And I was slacking off. So she wasn't wrong to tell me, you know what I mean? Like, she called me out on it. So I was like, oh, I repositioned it in my mind as like, no, take your scolding like a man and fess up to the fact that she was right to be annoyed that you weren't doing what you were supposed to be doing, and I immediately got over it.
Yeah, and that like acknowledging that, even to no one but just yourself, helps you to like get back into that moment where where your feet are.
Yeah. Whereas 10 years ago, when I was an immature punk kid in my 20s, that would have ruined my whole day.
Right.
I would have been complaining about, like, I can't believe she said that to me, blah, blah, blah. But as an adult man with a child who's been in the position of explaining to him why I'm annoyed with him, it hit me like, oh yeah, no, she was justified to tell me to do my job because I wasn't doing my job.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So, like, who am I to get annoyed? But yeah, no, that's one of those things where I had to reframe it in my mind. I was pissed about it for maybe 10 minutes,
right? And
then I reframed it, and I was fine after that. Like, I wasn't grumpy all day and like moping around. And then one of my coworkers was like teasing me about it, and I went, that's all right. You could joke about it. I'll take my scolding like a man. She wasn't wrong. And then I moved on with it. So, like, yeah, and I've been doing that a lot more over the last few years of just kind of trying to own where I've gone wrong and why things are happening the way they are. And it's made quite a difference.
Yeah. See, that's something that for me, when I'm doing my inventory on a more regular basis, that I'm consciously able to make that shift in the moment versus at the end of the night. Like, letting stuff build up, and then there's the Mentos in the Coke bottle and it explodes. You know? Yep. The doing it regularly, like the maintaining of, like, own your shit and take responsibility for the part that you played in the things that you're unsatisfied with.
Yeah.
I have streaks of time where I'm like doing really good about that, but then like I'm like, oh, I don't really feel like doing that today, or this week has been really rough, whatever. Like, whatever excuse I've made in the moment to not do the things that I know they're going to help me mentally.
Right.
Like, then it gets to that point where someone drops a fucking Mentos in my Coke bottle and I'm fucking blowing up on them.
Yeah.
And then I have to go back and apologize and be like, I was in the wrong, regardless of whatever got me here, I still need to make right what I can.
Yeah.
And if sometimes it's going to take a lot more than an apology